Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. And I got to give a shout out to Donnie, District 1's Rapid Response Coordinator, for making sure I got here. And I would be remiss, though, if I didn't shout out Director David McCall from District 1, who has been on the front lines in the state of Ohio. Is Ohio in the house? I must also thank International President Leo Gerard, whose leadership is absolutely instrumental, not only for the men and women of steel, but to the entire labor movement and the countless thousands of families that depend on good paying jobs. Congratulations to the soon to be installed officers of the United Steelworkers Union. You stand at the helm of 1.2 million voices who are fighting for working families around the world. Now I gotta give a disclaimer because I'm a Mother Jones kind of girl. And Mother Jones once said that she would pray for the dead but fight like hell for the living. That is how I roll. That is how I roll. And I'm very honored to be here, but I'm from Cleveland. And so I was invited into enemy territory. I don't understand this. Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers. But I know today that I am among friends, and despite the rivalry on the football field, as temporary and one-sided as it may be, both, I pray, where's the Father? I pray a lot, Father, for Cleveland Browns. But both Cleveland and Pittsburgh have so much in common. They are two of America's great cities and literally helped build our nation from the grinders in the Empire State Building to the towers of the Golden Gate Bridge to the steel that links us in our great neighborhoods to the north. And they both grapple with many of the same challenges as they work to refine themselves in a new century and a new economy. Both even share a history of making things and building great stuff and having great men and women who work very, very hard each and every day. You see, the men and women of steel are a reflection of America and America's values. I firmly believe that people don't get up every day for decent. People wake up every day for good and for great. And to the men and women of steel, thank you for making sure that you cement time and time again that from the buildings that you build, for the communities that you serve, you build a foundation for all of us. We are all stronger together. We are all better together. The USW has always stood up for good jobs for hardworking people, the kind of family-supporting jobs needed to sustain and to grow. The fight is happening in Ohio right now in places like Ormat in Hannibal, Ohio, where we have a governor and other members of the GOP who refuse to use the public policy might that we have to save jobs. When all is said and done, as great as this country is, we are only as great as the person who is in the greatest need. We need one another. I don't believe that being elected to office is something that folks should take idly, that those of us who are elected to office, we serve to make the lives of people better. And you know what, men and women of steel, if folks are not doing that, they need to go. They need to go. So, elections have consequences. So if we want better folks elected, if we want better public policies, then we need to elect different people to office. As one member of the House of Labor put it, there is a correlation between the ballot box and the bread box, or what can be gained in the workplace can be taken away at the ballot box. Workers' rights can be taken away at the ballot box. Women's rights taken away at the ballot box. Funding for education taken away at the ballot box. But when everyday people like you and everyday people like me, when we stand up and we put a little extra on our ordinary, great things start to happen. In 2011, and President Gerard remembers this, as does Ed Schultz, who's been such a champion for working class men and women all across this country. We fought back against Senate Bill 5 to take away collective bargaining rights for people who work hard every single day. 70% of our economy is a consumer-driven economy, so it makes sense to me that we would want people to have not decent jobs, but good jobs, because we get up for good and we get up for great. So I want to thank the men and women of Steel for all that you do in the various places and stations that you occupy. But I want you to be encouraged, because there's an answer for all the foolishness and folly that is going on in state houses. There's an answer for all the foolishness and folly that is going on in Congress. I have an app for that, and it is called the election of 2014, November 4th. There's an app for that. Booker T. Washington once said that there are two ways of exerting one's strength. One is to push down and the other is to pull up. We need more folks who use their strength to pull up, because we are all better together. So in closing, I want you to remember three little things. If you don't remember anything else that I've had to say here this afternoon, besides the fact that I'm a Cleveland girl in Pittsburgh. Number one, I believe that the creator of this great universe has given us two hands, one to reach forward and one to reach back, lifting as we climb. We are our sisters and our brothers' keepers. You see, I've never met anybody who said that when I grow up, I want to be poor. And I want to be on public assistance, and I want to be on Medicaid, and oh my God, public housing is the life for me. But I do know people who sometimes fall short, because you know what? Sisters and brothers of Steel, we all don't run the race at the same pace. We should be happy that we are a safety net country, despite the fact that we got heartless folks elected to office. If I can just tell you the truth, heartless. Heartless. Not to extend unemployment benefits, heartless. Not to deal with the SNAP program, knowing that hundreds and thousands, millions of people go to bed at night hungry, heartless. We are our sisters and our brothers' keepers. Number two, we can't ask other folks to do more for us than we are willing to do for ourselves. We need more people who are willing to put a little extra on their ordinary, because when we put extra on our ordinary, extraordinary things start to happen. But lastly, in the words of my grandmother, Grandma was hailed from the South. She could not read or write, but Mr. President, she could count her money. And she kept her money in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust with a handkerchief. When I asked my grandmother, what does it take to be successful in this thing called life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the three bones. The wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. She said the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying, because hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. The reason why we do what we do every single day, the reason why we continue to fight, is because we hope and believe that tomorrow will be better than today. The reason why we do what we do is because we owe a debt of gratitude to our foremothers and our forefathers who stood up. We owe them. We owe them. She said the jawbone, however, will give you courage to speak truth to power, or in the words of Dante, the hottest places of hell are reserved for those who in times of great moral crisis choose neutrality. USW, we have a moral crisis on our hands. From the Congress to governor's mansions to legislatures, we have a moral crisis on our hands. But there is an app for that. and it's called elections. But Grandma said all the hoping, wishing, talking, and praying in the world doesn't mean a thing unless you have the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious bone. And that is the backbone. Because the backbone will give us what we need to continue to stand. The challenges of our time are similar to the challenges of the past, but we can surmount those challenges if we put a little extra on our ordinary. If we do what Eleanor Roosevelt once said, which is we must do the very thing that we think we cannot do. We must continue to stand and to fight. Because you deserve better, your children deserve better, and future generations of this great nation deserve better than what we are getting. We have the power. We, us, together can continue to surmount the challenges of our day. And one of the reasons why I am running for Secretary of State in the great state of Ohio, because the access to the ballot box should be unfettered. It is the greatest equalizer that we have. One woman, one man, one vote. It is the only place where all of us, regardless of our ethnicity, our gender, our religion, it is where we are all equal. And to have people all over this country in elected office who seek to put roadblocks in the way of us being able to vote is un-American. So I stand. I stand for the Mother Joneses of the world. I stand. I stand for our children. I stand for our communities. I stand for steel workers. I stand for carpenters. Heck, I even stand for CEOs, whether they want me to stand for them or not. The power, though, is in our hands. And I don't want you to get weary in well-doing, because we are the answer that we have been looking for. Stronger together, we will continue to make a difference, and let's commit to continuing to use our strength to pull up and not to push down. God bless you, men and women of steel, and congratulations to the officers. We will be victorious.